Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Today's session, the pure file, the truth is in there somewhere. So I'm Chris Adams. I'm from Lancaster University. We're a university in the northwest of England. For people who don't know us, we've been going for about 60 years. We've got about just over 16,000 students, and we're frequently voted within the top 15 institutions within the UK. Okay, so Pure. As we all know, Pure holds a lot of information, and to represent this, I've got a very friendly octopus. He likes holding lots of different bits of information. But for example, it holds information about the research outputs, journals, publishers, awards, information, everything. And this isn't all inclusive. There's lots of things we didn't include in this presentation because it all depends on what modules you have added into Pure. But it's an example of how much information is stored within Pure. And a picture of our octopus at Lancaster is here. So Pure pulls in information from various different sources. So for us, we pull it in from our HR data, our own student information center, finance system data. ISS have things which control what users people have, whether you're authorized to get access to it through our single sign-on platforms. That also gets all put together into a single data hub, which we can extract the information on. Also pull information from Data Monitor, online sources like ORCID, Scopus, SciVal. The list goes on and on. That's before you get people manually entering in the information, and it just keeps getting more. Pure takes it all in, and Pure wants to show it off. So automatically it pulls through to our websites, through our CMS systems. For us, we have part of our funding in the UK for the N8, so the North 8 institutions, we have to display our equipment listings, so they go pull up through there, so we use Pure for that. We have our repository within the library where we use ePrints for our research outputs, but Pure is our repository for our data sets. We also now have linked Pure to the academic PDR system, called Summative, and that's just the automated way. So today we're going to be talking about some of the manual ways to get hold of this information. Because Pure links to all these systems, it's a wonderful place to be the one place that runs reports from. So we just use Pure to extract that information rather than finding bits from all three different systems and then trying to do a VLOOKUP to add it all together. Want it all in one place. And thanks to Nicolaj, that's the new reporting module. Won't talk about the old reporting module. But it holds so much information, and this is from the admin side, because often if you're not the administrator, you don't see everything within Pure. You only see what the administrator is allowing you to see. So this is an example of all the different things that we can pull off. For those of you who not from the UK, REF is our country-based research excellence framework, which is what the government uses, and we have to submit to it every 7 years. So luckily for us, the last REF came along just as Nicolaj wanted to design a new reporting module, so we grabbed him and he helped design everything for us coming in. So we don't just put the information into Pure and then pull it out. We go through a development cycle where it gets put in, we build a report, and then we say, what's missing? Why didn't people put information into Pure? We want to pull it out and we want to use it for this particular thing, but we can't because this specific bit of information isn't held in it. So we update the template to put it in. Then we get people to add the data in, and then we run the report, and round it goes in order to add these different things. So we do that we can sometimes just add it with keywords. Sometimes we request a CDF or a customer-defined field. We've done that with the equipment side of things. Or we reword the text in Pure to make it easier for people to find what they're needing to do. So another UK solely based example of this is the HEPSI, which is Higher Education Business and Community Interaction Survey, which we have to report to every year in explaining how the institution has spoken to those in the community and the business world pulling through. Now, we have a separate system called KEEP, which is Knowledge Exchange and Engagement Portal, which deals with the contacts for these different places, finance information about whether they've paid us for consultancy work and everything along those lines. But we still need the academics to tell us what they've done. Okay, so that used to be departments had their own Excel files which they sent in, or there's a Qualtrics form which they filled in and sent to us. And a couple of years ago we just went, no. We want it to be in Pure because everything's linked together. We can run these reports. Please just put it in Pure, and if it's not in Pure, it didn't exist. So we went for the carrot. It adds to your PDRs, it goes onto online, it makes your online profile look a lot better. And then the stick was, it won't be included in any reports or your promotions rounds or anything, or onto your things if it's not there. And we're not going to try and make it differently. But Pure didn't collect all the little nitty-gritty pieces that we needed. So it still remained low engagement the first time we did it. So what we did was we changed some of the wording within Pure. So for those who don't know the before shot, this just used to say consultancy, consultancy. Which, you know, if it wasn't consultancy, they stopped and moved on. So we've added additional fields like expert opinion, have you been working with government or community organisations? This is just nice. We reworded this to school business / higher education engagement. We wanted to use the word engagement as much as possible to draw the academics into seeing this is where they want to put it. Because once they put it in, we can find it and we can enrich it. But if they don't put it in, we're in an office that we have no idea what they're doing. Okay. What else did we do? We added the fields that we needed to run the reports. So we added academic staff time. They told us, oh no, we need it to be the prep time and delivery time. So we separated those out. And then in the little eye icon, we said, this equates to 7.5 hours. Nobody reads that. So I have it written in every form or format you can think of. I have one day, one working day, and so on and so forth. The number of attendees and whether it is free or not. Okay. We can then use the reporting module to pull out nice graphs, which people like to see. Again, this is all dummy data. It's an example of what we can show. So you can list it by faculties, or you can list it by the type, and you can organise it by alphabetically by type, or you can sort it by the most numerous at the top going down, or vice versa. We have limits on just show the top 20, because if you show everything, you can't read it. Going down. And if you don't like bar charts, you can have it in a nice pie chart, because we all like pie charts. And those comes in, and those form the data stories that you can start sharing with people, showing it in, so they have a visual representation of what's going on in their departments. Okay. So who are we sharing it with? Well, we share it with the heads of department, directors of research, departmental admins. We can show departmental admins said, oh, this is really useful. Can we use it for our monthly newsletters to say what's been going on? So we went, sure you can. Do those things, tweak the reports a bit so they each have different ones coming in, make sure that they have the right permissions to see those reports. You can do it for summarising the last week's, last calendar years, last month, whatever their different needs. And then they went, that's really nice, can we have it for the output so we can see which outputs have been published, are they PhD theses, how many of those have been collaborating on. Then they changed that and said, actually, could we just have it by what publishers or journals are we publishing in for the last year? So everybody gets a slightly different breakdown coming in. But the more that they see and they get from Pure, the more they realise how valuable it is to put the information into Pure. So, problem with that is you need to check the data quality because they're all manually entering everything. So we need to be able to find where they're missing the information, where they entered incorrect information, and then how do we address those different things coming in. So luckily, the new reporting module, you don't have to export it to see it. You can build it, you can load it, and it's ready there. I've just an example here. You can see we've got an activity, but it's missing the 3 fields that we need for the HEBSI. So either you can have a departmental admin going in to add it, or you can ask the academics to go in and say, you're just missing these things, could you update it? They log in, they enter the information, and there you can see we just refresh the report and it's already added in. So we can quickly go through and start correcting these lifetimes. We don't have to download an Excel, open Excel, run a pivot table, send that, filter it out for the particular bits of information that we need, then send it to a department head who then sends it to the academic, who then ignores it for 3 weeks and then comes back. And then, so the key to this is finding your data warriors. That's Dan from our post award, who desperately wanted to be put in when he saw me playing with AI images, so I've made him a data warrior. So you need to identify who's entering this information. Is it the academics themselves? Is it the departmental admin who sat there with a spreadsheet manually trying to get it across, putting it in? Can we help improve those things? We speak to them because they're entering it in. They know what's missing. They're trying to tell us what fields they can't find. And because every time they can't find something, it delays things. It's a stumbling block. They waste time looking around trying to see it. If it doesn't exist, they can't find it, but it takes them half an hour of trying to look for it to then tell me they can't find it, where do they put it? But once they do tell me, I will enter it in, add it to the list so that they can find something to do it. Whether it's in before, like I showed you, adding it as a new content type, if it's a drop down for the roles coming in, because the wonderful thing about working in academia is academics are doing stuff that's never been done before. So, but they expect me to record it in a well-defined, easy template. So I've got to keep updating it, going round and round, coming in. So it's always important to keep these communication lines up and running. Ensure that the person trying to enter the data has the right roles, because roles are limited to organisational unit. So if they've got a department, but they need to enter something for an institute that's across departments, but that sits under a different department, they can't add it in, and then it's wasted time because they have to send it to somebody else. So taking the time to tailor it, bring it in, knowing who to share the reports to, because that helps get the support to the people entering the data. So that comes in. And be open with where we're using the information. If I just go to them, you need to enter it into Pure, they'll go, why? Then I say, it's for HEPSIS, promotions reports, for your website, so you can advertise things where funders can check and see that you're doing what you're doing. And we keep adding, saying we're using it in more and more places. They suddenly go, okay, I'll put it in Pure. Otherwise, they'll keep it in their junk inbox and their emails and not tell anybody about it until they've left. And then where people have been really good at it, showcasing it, telling people, saying, look, this department's done it all for our HEPSI return this year, why haven't you? Because nothing gets them riled up like saying another department's done it better than they have. Things. Coming into that, the user groups are also a wonderful place for getting these things, because it's not just me at one university going, I'm trying to do all of these things. Laura from Manchester volunteers me for everything else. But it's where we can get together, we can talk about what we need, and it's where Nicolaj can join us in, sit down with us, and we can have these discussions, and we can say, look, we've got this thing, we know it's unique to the UK, but we really need this, the reporting module, to show us this one piece of information. And then Nicolaj can go back to his team and say, okay, we know we weren't going to do this for 12 months, but Chris and Laura are yelling at me, so I need to put it in now. So we keep going back and forth with those things. That, going back to what I said before, with the new ref module, that really helped at the time, because we were able to do it iteration piece by piece, saying we really needed to know this bit first, so please focus on ref 1. So we did the ref 1 data. Then we said we needed it to do these things, and then we showed Nicolaj what we were doing, exporting all the information. So Nicolaj then said, well, here's some summary screens for you to use, which are really nice and easy for us to do. We still use some of those in the back end for ref, for checking open access compliance and things.
Thank you, Chris. Just want to touch upon some of the things I also mentioned in the roadmap on the vision, and I think Chris really highlighted some of the things we want to do with the report module, why we are building what we are building. It should be easy to adopt. You should be able to tailor the story, right? So what is it you want to tell? Which report is it you need to create? And how can you then share them, right? And I think we just saw some really good examples on where this really can come into play. And just a bit more on some of the things we had when. So this is a really old slide I made way back when we started to create the new report module, or just the report module now, I guess. We set out wanted to build a really intuitive user experience. You should have some instant feedback on your choices. Not sure how many of you actually are familiar with the classic report module, but yeah, you need to do a lot, right? And then click the run before you saw what is going on. So the new one here is really meant to, as soon as you do a thing, you see what's the consequences, what values are you getting. So it should be much, much easier to understand what is that is happening and what you're seeing and so on. And one of the really key features also for the report module, besides creating reports you can share with management and so on, is the data creation part that Chris also touched upon. And it's quite easy to create reports where you can spot the missing data. I'm not sure whether you are aware or not, but if you look at the number rows here, all those numbers, you can actually click on those and open the editor for the driver column. So it's really easy to open the editors if you need to go in and change the data. You can also do it from when you click on numbers of things. We call them drill downs, so you can drill into that data and see what is actually behind the numbers. You can click on those, open an individual editor again, or you can click on this showing content list, so you can get all of it into a content list. So we've made it quite easy to come into a situation where you have this input, report, update loop, as Chris mentioned, right, that they're really using, and a lot are, right? So this is really also one of the strengths of the report module, it's to give you the opportunity to make it easy to find where you are missing data or where data might be wrongly entered, right? So this data creation piece is a really important bit. I mentioned this in the workshop yesterday also, and I think it's an important piece of an item to understand, right? A piece of information for Pure. It's the relations. So we heard Days before here, if anyone were here, so it's in this talk just beforehand, and they were using the affiliations in Pure to add in the staff type to do a type of report, right? And in Pure we have a lot of information on the relations between content, right? So a person can both be a staff or a student at the same time, right? But it depends on what affiliation you're looking at. So if you look at the person, that information doesn't exist in the person record. It doesn't exist on the organization record either, but exists in the relationship between the two. And we have the same as an author, right? You're only an author because of you're mentioned on an output, right? So on editor, or whatever your role might be, right? So on the relationships, we have a lot of information, and this was one of the areas we really wanted to improve the ability to be able to report on this in the new report module. So if you look at this screen here, this is the sub-editor, if you like, on if you go in to add a organizational affiliation on a person. So you see there's a ton of information in this one, and in the top you also see right up there whether you are supervising anyone and then whether you're a staff, right? And you have all this different information. So what we've added to the new report module is the ability to report on these affiliations. And we have added a new thing, we call them reporting entity, in lack of a better name, but if you have one, I will be happy to take notes. But the idea is we have created a special entity in the report module that really encapsulates this concept of relationship. So we, for instance, have created one that's called affiliation, which were what Days were showing she was using. And we've created that, so it's quite easy to create a report that reports on, say, give me the staff that's currently affiliated with this organization, right? So by adding 3 filters to this type, you can get that really easy, right? And again, if you then spot that something is missing, right, so they don't have any job description. That's odd, right? So let's go in and fix that. So you can spot that quite easily. You can get this information quite easily. And we have added that on other types of elements. So for instance, research output contributions, right? So that UI contributed to a research output. That's also this type of affiliation we have created. Another thing we're working on is how to then report on collaborations. So it's a big thing, right? So we hear that a lot. So can we report on our collaboration? Or you might get asked, so how much have we collaborated with US the last month or something? What's our top collaborative partners in the last year? Questions like that. So we have created a new one, or working on creating a new reporting entity that we call research output external collaboration. So it's specifically zooming in on the external collaboration partners that you have mentioned on your research outputs. So we've created a new one where you can, right now we have this type of information, so you can get something about the publication date, the organization you're working with, the persons you're working on, and so on and so forth. And to give you an example of what this enables you to do, is you can create a report, and you can then create a data story where you are using some of the visualization we have to, for instance, say what are our top collaborative partners, right? You can then rank them or only show the top 5, right? So what are our 5 top collaborative partners, for instance, or which countries are we collaborating most with, right? So in this instance, it's Denmark on this data I've used here, right? So, but you get the point, right? So the idea is you should be able to report on these collaborations. And another way is to look at, so here I created another table where I listed out which department are collaborating with which external organizations. So we get a lot of numbers here. So this is the number of time we collaborate with someone, and you can click on it to drill into the underlying data to see which publications are we then actually collaborating on. So I think this is really a good thing that we want to be able to give you. And the next slide, I had hoped that we could really announce that this is going to happen soon, but unfortunately we ran into a small thing that didn't really, but it's really, really close. That's my message. So the idea is we want to, in the report module, to add more of these type of more specialized reporting mechanisms, right? So you can help to create these type of reports. For instance, if those use cases Chris just mentioned, right? I'm guessing a lot of you have similar use cases, right? We need to do a report for this, that, and the other, right? And we really want to make Pure the place where you can get that information out, because as Pure also mentioned, the more information you have in Pure, the more value you can get out of it. And I think if you start to get into the habit of it, Pure is the place that there is this, it's guessing it's also easier to convince the researcher then to, okay, I see the point, right? But it's not an easy trick to convince them why they should do it, but if we can help you showcase these really good examples, get the data out, so that should also help them understand why they need to do this. And obviously we want to help you to, extract the information you need to answer the different questions you are being asked to do. And also, as I mentioned in my roadmap, we want to further enhance the data story. So we have some, I think, quite good ideas. We want to update how the data stories are being built, what type of graph can you add, specifically where you have, for instance, have a bar chart or a line chart where you have multiple series on top of that. That will be easier to compare data, right? We want to update the dashboard. So we have a dashboarding capability in Pure. It's actually built on top of the classic report module. So we need to figure out how to transition that into the new one. My idea will be it's a data story, right? So why not add a data story that you then can place elsewhere in Pure, for instance? I think that will be quite a nice dashboarding capability if you could create a data story and share that from within Pure to users that where they needed it, right? So that's some of the ideas we have for the future on how to enhance the reporting module to be able to support you in these different type of tasks. Yes, that was actually it for for me and Chris. So, questions?
I'm coming.
Hi, hello, thank you. I'm from Universidad San Francisco in Ecuador. I would like to know if there is any way to identify collaborations excluding one specific author or specific publications, filtering based on the number of authors.
Not right now, but it's one of the ideas. I think if it's not there, it should be at least in the ideas exchange on how to negate a filter or do a not filtering. That's the type of information I'm guessing. So it should be anyone but this individual or anything but this external organization or this external country, right?
Because we have these researchers that are part of big groups of publications, and there are at least one in each university, and you think you have like a lot of papers in that university, but it's not true.
Yeah. And right now, no, unfortunately, is the answer. But it's a thing we really do want to build. So it will be one of the things we are going to add and look at. One, as I mentioned, the focus has been to get to the place we are now, so we can start sunsetting classic module, because that will then give us the capability to start adding in these type of information and options in the filtering.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. One of the things that really helps when you're collaborating with Nicolaj and things like that, Elsevier don't make test data that's missing stuff. So it helps when we can provide them with the information and then say, we've got this data and we want to exclude this person. They've got real life data that they can test and work on, because yeah, they don't know what fake data to make. So coming in. So when you have groups like the UK user group where we have a reporting subgroup, one of us will volunteer to work with them and let them have our data to build that test case, which they'll only use for that and then get rid of later.
Next one.
Thank you. I was wondering, is there also a page where you post documentation about the report module, or maybe some examples? Because I use the report module quite a lot. And sometimes I start with a template that I think is a logical place to start, and then I get, well, not the right result. I make a ticket, and then the support says, no, you need to use this one, and then I get perfectly what I need, which is obviously good. But I think a page with some examples of documentation might be helpful.
Yes. So we are actually currently reworking how we are organizing our documentation. So one of the things we are actively doing, we have the Pure Help Center. And a lot of both the manual and all the documentation we had sort of scattered across, we are currently consolidating that into the Help Center. So that will be the place we have it. And we also had, in the old Confluence, we had a reporting community where there were a lot of examples. That's also been moved into the Help Center. So that would be the place, or will be the place. And we are continuously working on improving that information and making better documentation for you guys on. But that will be the place. That's the Help Center. Okay, client certification. Yeah, we also do have a client certification program, and one of them is actually also on reporting.
Has it started, or is it on its way?
It's on its way. They're working on a client certification specifically on reporting also.
Yeah.
There was one more. Okay.
And just whilst we're waiting for that, again, the user groups are often really great places where we throw questions at how do we start to this, and then we help each other out with those things as well. So.
I just have a question from the bilingual use of Pure, because I see now that certain columns can exist both in English and in your native language if you have one. And something that we notice a lot is that our researchers can post the text in the completely wrong field. So you post a lot of Swedish in the English field and the opposite, and it's both an accessibility issue and an issue all over. So I was wondering, because it's a use case to be sure, but it'd be nice if there were functions to do this cleaning a little bit easier. Because if you need to open all the cases and move the text around, of course you can do that. And it's an excellent way to use the new reporting module. but we would look forward to having something that would help a little bit with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good question, and the question is also, is that a reporting task to clean up? Maybe not. I think it would be something I'll have a chat with my colleague Thomas on, and he's actually having another session right now on Gen AI, and that it might be a case for if an AI could detect whether that field is actually in the wrong place or not, because it, for us, it's just text, right? So in pure context, it's just some text in a field that just happened to be a semantic Danish or Swedish or English, right? So it's hard to detect whether it's the wrong language in the text field, but an AI might be able to help on some, to try to identify where they actually inputted the wrong. You can report on some of it also, so that might be another avenue we could explore. It's a valid use case that we will look more into, because we have heard it before.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. It was great. My question's around missing fields. So you mentioned that you can spot missings in the UI, but what are the plans around more consistent filtering on missing values in the reporting module? Because we often have to do this in bulk, and being able to spot it in the UI isn't quite as helpful when we're dealing with many thousands of records. So what are the plans around aggregating this in tables and being able to have lists of missing values?
I know it's one of the things that the user group also have complained a bit or poked to me about. So, and we have heard it from all of you, I think. So it's really high on our list on when we are going to update the filters, is to add in a bit more options. So as I mentioned, also the question before were not filtering, right, and missing filtering. So it is one of the cases that we are going to look at. I don't have you will have it at this stage, right? But it's high up there, and it's one of the things we are going to look into soon.
Yeah, we do keep pestering him about
Yes.
it. It's like poking him in the corner going, have we got it yet? Have we got it yet? Every release notes, it's Nicolaj, I don't see it, where is it? Thanks. Anything else? No?
Thank you very much.